Hey guys, here's the stuff for today. We've got that darn Rob brush I used the other day, and it has his Fanchurian in it, version 1, maybe 2, and we've got a polished Merkur Futur razor, and we're going to put in a nice semi-fresh Gillette silver blue blade in it. Put it down somewhere dry before I drop it. And stones from Mamth soaps. I believe they've changed their name to House of Mammoth these days, which is neat. And I haven't used it too many times. It's just one of my all-time favorites. It's composed of bass notes, wood and leather, vetiver maybe, and oud perhaps. One of those is my favorite that's not in there, but just about every single favorite that I have is in that soap. And it doesn't have any top notes, nothing flowery or fruity or any of that. And I'm so glad he put this soap together. I've had this soaping while I took a shower, and so did I say that? Soaking. And so it is nice and wet. Definitely had plenty of time to soften up. It did curl a little bit. I had my first use with it a few shaves ago, and it did curl. You could visibly see the softness of the tips at the end of the shave, so it is gelling to some degree. But and it got a little crispy after maybe the second day, but then maybe now is maybe the fourth day after it, and I was just kind of stroking it a little bit, expecting that crisp to still be there, and it wasn't. And I think I'm really happy about that, because if it's not that crispy, then that means it isn't super gelled. It's just a little gelled, and I think that'll help the tips to last longer, that sort of thing. All right. Oh, and I won't forget to say that today I remembered to jump into my sample pack of Saponificio Veracino aftershave products that I ordered. And this is the balm. Is it the balm? It just says aftershave. So it's probably, feels pretty thin. So it's probably the splash for Cubebe. And I'm very curious to see how this is going to smell, and that will decide whether I order it or not. Because from the write-up, some of the things about it seem very attractive to me. And so we'll just see what happens. So my face is washed and clean this time. Let's shake out a lot of the water in the brush after being soaked. And let's just try a 20-second load. Oh, and the zero is rolling around right there. The Tusk, which is this base from Mammoth, is tremendous. Performance, water retention, slickness, they're all right up there with the best of them, in my opinion, for my types of shaving and that sort of thing. So that's 20 seconds. It looks like I'm fine. I'm always a little curious if I undershoot, which is why most of the time I overshoot. Oh, that's such a good smell. Now, in that sample pack from Saponificio Veracino, I got a couple of shower gels, and I used the first one in my shower just now. It was Dolomiti, and it had a nice scent, but it was rather light. And so I imagine that a full bottle of the shower gel with this particular brand is going to be kind of expensive. And if it is, then I myself would not justify purchasing a bottle of that scent if it's going to be that low in scent strength. If it's something I'm paying for a wonderful scent, then I am going to want to really get a good dose of it during the shower. Really soak it in, enjoy it, have it be a vital part of my shower experience. Now, if I had a ton of money and that kind of thing just didn't matter, maybe I would always have on hand a nice expensive shower gel with a scent that I just really enjoyed, But to me, the reason I can have so many things at the sink is because I use Irish Spring in the shower. I've got a lot of soaps. Now, most of them, of course, I've paid small amounts for by purchasing them very used or at good deals or that sort of thing. But nonetheless, I'll be cheap in the shower and rich in the sink any day. I'm playing around with Sterling soaps, Sterling bath soaps. They're very good quality, and when you catch them on sale, they're not too expensive. I mean, they're expensive compared to Dollar Tree soaps, where you're getting a soap bar for 50 cents. Now, granted, that one bar is probably not the same size as the Sterling soap, but even if you said it was $1 per soap, even on sale with Sterling, that's 4 or 5 times more than a Dollar Tree soap. Maybe someday I'll do some kind of comparison where I look at how long a bar will last me of each one to, see if maybe is Sterling's denser. Does it last, twice as long? In which case, I would definitely switch to a full-time Sterling soap experience in the shower. If you're new to my channel, I've started using this jigger. It's got graduations, and so I'm able to see at the end of the shave how many milliliters of water I've used, and then I write that down, and that helps me next time I use the same soap and brush and all that to know how much water to use, or if maybe I really miss the lather and mess it up, then it helps me to know what I've tried and what I haven't. Man, look at that lather. You see how stringy it was, that it left this nice long string right there, and then you can see his companion right there in the lather bowl. This is a wonderful lather when it gets elastic, and we might be at the right point. This is almost a floppy brush, and I can feel it in the bowl. Oh, look at that. That's just beautiful. Now, let's take a quick look. We're right at 15 milliliters, which is 3 teaspoons. So that is kind of a standard amount, and since this is behaving like it is, I think I'm going to go with this. Since it's just being so elastic, looking just gorgeous. It could go more, but let's just use it. All right. So did I tell you my conclusion about the Dolomiti? Yeah, it was a nice, pleasant scent, but it didn't seem to me as strong as or as complex as the soap is. When the soap is up in my face, I really get a nice. I was very happy with the scent strength of the soap, but the gel was just too light. All right. This is a big knot when you get it on your face, because the splay is very easy. It's so easy that I might want to think about backing off with the pressure a little bit. Softness is just top notch. My other Fanchurian that I have is very different from this one. It could be because it's just lofted a lot lower, and so I really feel the backbone of the brush more. Oh, the stones. Man, I have been using some favorites lately. Soaking in the Admiral the other day for a few different shaves. The stones, oh man, just scents. There are a lot of scents that I have that I do enjoy, but there is an elite group that I just love to soak in. I just, I could really stop in the middle of the shave and just pause the camera and close my eyes and just kind of soak in it. And this is one of those, because it just matches what I like. Some of you guys might like other stuff, aquatics or spicy ones. Those may be the ones that you are able to. Florals. I mean, there's guys who like florals out there. If that takes you to a place that you enjoy, then that might be just exactly right for you. But for me, these couple have just been knockouts. This blade is maybe on its third or fourth use. The Gillette Silver Blue. Normally I work with the blade before I get my hands all wet, and I forgot to do that today because I set the blade off in a different area. So this is it looks nice because it's polished chrome, but it is a Zamac razor. You can see kind of the matte finish in there. It is plated in chrome, and but if the inner workings where everything's grind, like if there's a screw mechanism in there, if it's also Zamac or some kind of alloy, zinc alloy, then it can eventually, if water is, the wear happens and the plating goes away, and then what's left is that alloy. And if water stays on that alloy, it will very quickly corrode. And so I don't know how bad the Futur is to do that. I've definitely heard of other razors like the 3-piece Merkurs and Parkers and Jaggers and those crowd. But it looks really nice. It's a good weight. It's kind of heavyish. There is a rail here on the top that, there you go, that the blade sits on while you snap this in place. As far as I can tell, there's a tab here that's extended over more, and it's not existent over here, and I don't think it matters which side it goes on. But just, I mean, if it was both like this, you'd easily be able to push it up. But I think they added that just to make sure people felt like there was a way for them to pop it off easily. What I like about this razor is the smoothness at the lower settings. And so I am gonna, let's shave. It goes up to 6.5. It goes from 1 to 6, and there's still a dot between the 1 and the 6. So is that a 6.5, or is that a half? I don't know. I'm going to put it at about a 2.5, just for fun, because I like the smooth end. I didn't want to like the Futur because of the fact that it's a Zamac razor and it's quite expensive. There's no way I want to pay over $40 for a Zamac razor because they just don't live as long as the stainless ones. And then this one also is not a kind of a classic design, very futuristic looking, and that's the vibe that I usually like. I mean, for goodness sakes, a shaving brush is decades old, you know, more than 100 years old, and then I'm using it with a space gun here, you know. All right. But I was testing the Futur, the satin Futur that I had a while back, and it just kept impressing me in terms of the comfort, in terms of the shave. And so I could definitely see myself using it if I wanted to, and I could definitely understand people enjoying their shave with it. I will say that the Futur has some clones out there from Q-Shave and from Ming Shi. And I'll tell you one thing, they definitely shave differently than the Futur, the real thing. So don't get the clone and think that it's giving you a good idea of the real thing. I found it much more scrapey to use the clones. This one was, and you could probably hear some of the audio, but it wasn't anything like what the clones give you. They also have a skinnier handle, and they're lighter. And that isn't really as big of a deal for me, but I definitely enjoyed kind of the beefiness of this handle over the cheaper ones. Oh, got a little bit to go left. 1.5 days of growth, and this has been a very comfortable pass. I do feel kind of the edge, but it is enjoyable. It's just a light scrapiness, and it's fairly consistent. It's not. It doesn't seem to be too well. Consistent's really the word. It's not. It doesn't feel like an uncontrollable scrapiness. It feels like a happy one. Now, this comfort does come at a cost of efficiency. Just now, as I took my face and rinsed it off, I felt a good bit of stubble. And so it's not going to be like a one-pass razor at this setting, unless you did a lot of buffing and repeat work. However, it's probably easy solved by bumping up the aggression. But I don't like that. I would rather have 3 passes, and this is even more comfortable. I do not feel like I'm in danger of cutting myself at all, but it still provides a good cutting sensation. You feel like you are actually shaving and not just rubbing some smooth device over your skin. I am not feeling insecure about the handle. I thought that it might be a little slippery, so I'll have to do a test, a more specific test in a minute. But in terms of real world, with me rinsing the head, not really letting any, and this is my normal habit, it's not like I'm doing something special with this razor. I have not felt uncertain. I have not felt out of control with this razor at all. Seems to be very good, very balanced in a happy way that I enjoy. A little toward the head. I might enjoy it a little bit more if it was back, but to be honest with you, as long as I'm holding it up here, and you know what, actually my finger, what's giving me a lot of good control is that my finger is naturally resting on that ridge, and it's a comfortable ridge, but then that tells me exactly where the razor is up and down in my hand. And also when my hand is a little damp, but the razor is not soapy, it's not slipping, it's easy to grip, it's not slippery, and I've seen that with steel sometimes. Now we'll have to do a test. Why don't we do it right now? Grab a little bit of lather, put it all over the handle, and that is very slippery. That is unsafe, and I would not want to do that at all. Let me clear that up. Yeah, I would. I'm glad that I forgot to check the soapiness of it at the beginning, because I was able to know that I've been using it for 2 passes and it hasn't been slippery at all, because my normal practice is to clear that head away pretty easily and not just have tons of soap rolling around on my razor. I guess that means this would not be a razor recommended for shower shavers. Because right now, again, everything's clean. Even though my hands are very, very wet, it is kind of sticking. It's actually a better grip when my hands are wet. Somehow there's some kind of water reaction. Is it the surface tension, things like that? I don't know, but it's actually a better grip than when everything is dry. After that second pass, it was easy to feel my skin getting smoother as I did the rinse. You can kind of feel the progress that you're making. And obviously, now that we've had 2 passes, this one is even more comfortable. And this is 2.5, so you can. This seems like a good razor to go for if you like mild shaves and you want an adjustable. If you have a lot of money, and you don't want to, save your high value money for an adjustable like a bronze one, like a Fat Boy or something. The Pearl Shaving has come out with a stainless steel adjustable. company over in India. It's getting some good reviews. Even the first version had some quirks, but if you liked shaving in the mild zone of the adjustment range, then none of those quirks would actually apply to you, and that would definitely be me. But I think they address some of those in future versions of it, and that first run has definitely sold out. I think they're in their 4th or 5th iteration now. We're in May of 2021 just now, May 1st. So amazingly comfortable shave. If I had to shave with this razor all the time, I just wouldn't mind it regarding the feel of the shave, and we'll hope, of course, that the closeness is on point as well. Oh, and I'm looking forward to trying that Cubebe. Let us get a... No, let's not. We don't need to rinse, because I'm going to get a little bit more, because I'm interested to see, with closeness like this and the comfort, I'm curious if I could do an against the grain pass on my neck here. So for me, I think it's possible that my hair, while it's average in terms of density, in terms of distribution, the follicle distribution throughout my skin. I've seen plenty of guys with more sparse beards than me, and I've seen plenty of guys with denser beards than me, so I'm just assuming it's average. However, I think the thickness of my beard hairs is maybe a little thicker than average. Maybe they lay close to the skin. I'm not sure exactly. But when I go against the grain in my soft areas of my face, the blade picks up my hairs and pulls the skin up into the blade. I end up with cuts and definitely irritation, except during certain kinds of shaving, certain combinations of blade. And this had no irritation at all. That is excellent. So the silver blue continues to be a favorite of mine, and it's no exception in this razor. Wow, that's just terrific. And I think I'm finding that it's the mild razors that have that potential to do this area in an actual against the grain pass. There are a few stray hairs along the border where it was my fault for not going quite far enough out, but in my trouble spot, it is clean as a whisker. In a not quite baby butt smooth, but probably as close as I will ever get there, really. And it was comfortable. Sometimes I can get that same effect, but I end up with some noisiness and some irritation right there, some tenderness. And I'm not feeling any tenderness there. So top notch, a great match, razor and blade in my skin, excellent in this razor. So, and that's one of the reasons why I almost didn't sell my Futur. Because I was just getting nice shaves from it. It might be a little noisier than I normally like. My Carve, my Timeless, my Wolfman, none of those are as noisy as this one, but there are definitely others that are more than this one. But I don't really mind because it's a comfortable noisy. I don't feel uncertain about the shave I'm getting. I get nice gradual reduction, and so it's a good razor. It just is. And I imagine if you take care of it well, unfortunately, with the 3-piece, you can take apart the parts, dry them off. And so even if you do get that plating worn away in the threading, then it's dry when you put it away. And so it can last years and years, even being a pot metal razor. With this one, that's not really possible because the mechanism is in here. And you only have access to obviously this can be fully cleaned, but I doubt it's going to ever lose too much plating. I believe you could probably remove these, you wouldn't remove these springs, but you could probably, no, I don't know exactly how you'd take it apart. I don't know if there's a trick to it. I'm sure there's a way. But water's going to get in there. But even then, I mean, still, compared to cartridge razors, if this lasted you 10 years before it broke, that's not very much money, even paying full retail price for this razor. If it lasted 5 years, still, that's not really all that much. So, you know, there you go. All right, the moment we've been waiting for, folks. Cubebe. Let's see how this does. I'll tell you what, if you ever get something like this and you want to try it out in the shower, like I did with the shower gel, open it, tear open before you get in there. Open it when you have dry hands, because I couldn't get it. I was using my teeth and everything. All right, so let's see what we kind of get. It's not super thin. It's got a little thickness to it, but it looks like a alcohol type splash for the most part. Yeah, there is a little bit of kind of syrupiness to it, maybe witch hazel or something. Well, it's a generous portion. I guess I could have been stingy and maybe just put on half. I'm going to put some on my forearms here so that I can maybe smell it later on. Does it have some glycerin in it perhaps? Because there's a slickness to it as you put it on. I like that in the sense that it's making it easy to apply and spread around. And this was the Cubebe. Like so many of Saponificio Veracino's scents, it's just nice. It seems to be well designed. It's a little bit light in the kind of the upper range, whereas the soap I used was all the base notes, the sandalwood, the vetiver, the spice. What is that other one? I can't remember. Leather. Whereas this is some of the top stuff. It's very nice. I think I would enjoy having the soap, but I don't know that it's all that attractive to me when I have so many soaps around. I think if I had it, I would definitely enjoy it. If I had a smaller rotation, I'd be able to enjoy it a lot, but they are expensive soaps. Now, granted, they will last a long time. And I think slight floral to it, but it's a floral that's hidden by some other nice notes. And so it does not really smell feminine. I could see people describing it as fresh. Maybe a little bit of a green kind of note in there, but it's not super green, maybe like the Felce Aromatica that they have. It is muted by kind of some earthy or grainy type tones. I think it's very wearable. So, yeah, kind of a cologne scent. Hard to describe, but I think I did the best I could. Everything is absorbed now, and so maybe we can look at the ingredients and see. Oh wow, there's a big old list of ingredients here. Aqua, water is the first one, denatured alcohol, then the fragrance, and then some of the things that looked pretty natural, and some of the things that don't. But yeah, I wouldn't mind. That's a nice, very wearable, enjoyable scent. I don't think too many people would be bothered by that. I don't think it's going to offend anybody. Very pleasant, very nice. Now, what happens if I go back and smell this? Boy, that really changes what I perceive in this one. I smell some of the woody notes that didn't really come out before. The leather's a little more muted than before. Neat. Well, the brush was phenomenal. Very nice. I don't think I added any more water than I told you about before. So 15 milliliters. I believe cc's and milliliters are the same amount. So 15 milliliters, which is 3 teaspoons. And I will definitely dry my razor, all the parts that I can reach. That'll help preserve it. I'll look forward to trying another of these in another day. I've got the desert vetiver, and that's another one that I'm so curious about. Wouldn't it be interesting if the Cubebe ended up to be one that I enjoyed, but it didn't really cause me to want to purchase soap and pay that much for it. However, the one that I was not thinking I would like as much, the desert vetiver, maybe that one does cause me to do that. That would be an interesting turn. The rest of them are ones that except for Mirto de Sardinia, and maybe another one that I don't actually have already. Now, the Cubebe, I probably would if I saw a good deal on it online. Somebody who had tried it and it just wasn't for them. Maybe they didn't reach for it enough. If they had a larger collection or just wanted to slim down, I might pull the trigger on that. Man, wouldn't that be interesting? Is if because of that grippiness that your wet hand has on this metal, on this finish, wouldn't it be interesting if that grippiness made this one more secure and controllable than the matte, the satin finish one, which is the version that I had tried months ago. I'm curious about that now. And I have experienced that same tugginess that my wet fingers experienced on the surface of the razor. I've experienced that when using stainless steel shave bowls, and my brush felt like it had more drag, like the bowl was the handle of the razor and my brush and the soap and the lather was my hand, and it just felt like I was pulling, and it was triggering something in me that I was damaging my brush. I was causing my brush to undergo too much stress, pulling on the bristles, and so I immediately quit after one or two shaves. I quit using the stainless steel bowl. One thing that I really like about this brush, and I've discovered, is that it's not one of those super high density knots. Maybe this was when Rob was, it's probably the earlier versions, and so maybe he just wasn't jumping into the super high density, because I can squeeze it right here and get smaller than the actual opening. And with declaration knots, that you can't really do that. It's very different. And so that is something that I really enjoy about a brush. It's not overly dense, causing excessive backbone. And so that's probably why it has so much easy splay to it. It's also, and it's wonderfully practical, much easier to rinse out because it's not as just jam-packed with hairs, places for soap to hide. And you can maybe see how the tips are kind of gelling together a little bit as we're finishing up here. I haven't stropped it on the towel yet. I'm not going to be too aggressive with it like I am with a boar brush, because I'm not trying to train the bristles and tips. I'm just trying to, so it looks a little different than a few seconds ago before the stropping, but wonderfully soft, very enjoyable. So I do like the look of the handle. So it looks like I've been patient in trying to find a TDR brush that kind of ticks all my boxes. And I think I finally found one. Handle could be a little bit longer, a little bit more ergonomic, but it's still easy to use. It's the positioning of the angles of the. It's not too narrow here. Some of Rob's brushes have a nice big long handle, but then they get super narrow right before this part here, and that would cause my tips, a lot of pressure to be on the tips of my fingers. Right now, this kind of a natural curve here. It's not as sharp of a curve, and it allows even pressure throughout my whole finger pad, and so it allows a very good control and good comfort during the shave. All right. Nice. Is that a hint of pear? I mean, it's just a faint hint. Maybe there's some kind of fruity note in there, but it doesn't come across as fruity in general because there's so much going on in there. But maybe there's, and that's nice, because if there was something fruity or something in that category, it could be softening maybe a floral that's in there, and that's how it ends up not to be a feminine type scent. And that, my friends, is why I try razors that I highly suspect that I won't keep. When I purchase a large box of products, when they become available at a good discount, and I think I'm going to sell about half of these, sometimes I'll still try them because it's a new experience and I could really learn something. And so today I learned that that particular finish there is very grippy, very safe, as long as you make sure that the lather doesn't drip down into your grip. Very safe. I mean, you almost feel like a superhero, actually, because anytime your wet hand touches it, it feels like you just have extra grip power, like Spider-Man or something like that. So very happy with the shave, very pleased. Whether I keep this razor or not, I haven't decided, but I do like the look of this one. And so it would be funny if I kept the chrome one here, the polished one, and I sold the matte one, the satin one. That's got a possibility of happening. It's just a nice razor, and this chrome is beautiful. I think I mentioned it, but this was on a day and a half of growth, approximately, so a little bit more than usual, and it did very well. Like I mentioned, it removed the hairs gradually to do better, more efficiently. If you're a 2-pass shaver, you'd want to dial up that efficiency, but you're probably used to that anyway as a 2-pass shaver. But very comfortable shave, very happy with the performance today of the razor. The lather as well was terrific. Probably could have added a little bit more water, but just luxurious and creamy and still very slick. I felt it was hydrated enough and it got the job done well. So I'd say it was in that perfect zone, but just maybe on the dry side of it, where maybe a little bit of water might bring it actually into prime. But excellent, perfect lather today. And Tusk just continues to do that for me. So the brush, everything was stellar. Everything was wonderful in this one. So it's good when that happens. What will I be using next in my collection? That mail call that I had. I think it might likely be the Feather ASD2 razor, or it could be the well, dang it, I had it in my brain before I pushed the record button. Or it could be stepping back to that Sterling stainless steel razor. I wanted to make sure that I gave my face enough time to recover, just in case there was some lagging irritation, some residual irritation there. I didn't feel any of that today, so I feel like I'd be safe to go with Sterling again, to try them out. It was an aggressive shave, almost to my upper end. I rode the cap, and that seemed to help. But we'll play with it some more before I maybe pass it on to somebody else. But I could definitely see how someone would enjoy it who just is really looking for an aggressive razor to take their beards down without prejudice. All right, guys. Well, I hope there's been something in this shave to help you out in your journey. I know I'm bringing a new razor to you guys, at least from my perspective, so I sure learned a lot. I learned about the Cubebe scent, and I think we're good. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You guys, take care. Good day.